Hey YouTube. All right, today we are going to run through how to build a Cardano Stake Pool. So the Coin Cashew tutorial is really awesome. It's very, it's the easiest one I found to run through and to build a node. But before you can actually go through their tutorial, you need to have a server. So that's what we're going to do in this video today. Is I'm going to take you through how to set up a server, and then in the next video we'll actually get into building a Cardano node. So easiest way to get a server going is to set up a cloud server. So we'll use DigitalOcean. Don't go directly to digitalocean.com. Just actually do a Google search. So Google search DigitalOcean. You'll get one of their ads, and so click on their $100 credit. So your first month will be free, and maybe a month and a half or so, depending on how many services you actually use. So go ahead and do that, and set up yourself a DigitalOcean account. You'll probably have to put in your name and address and a credit card. And once you have that done, so pause the video, do that, and then we'll continue. So here I am here on DigitalOcean. So you just click New Project in the side there, and just set up a new project. I just called this one Test YouTube. Now for this tutorial, if you got a MacBook, that's fine. That works perfect. Mac is actually, your server is going to be a Linux server, and Mac is actually a variant of Linux, Mac OS. So that works. And if you're going to do this on Windows, that's fine too. I'm actually doing this tutorial on Windows. So if you're going to do it on Windows, I recommend getting VMware installed. You can actually get one instance of VMware Workstation. They'll let you use it for free for one instance. And then what you do is install, actually on this how to build a Cardano Stake Pool on Coin Cashew. They actually, I'm pretty sure, yeah, right here, this tutorial right here actually will run through how to set up Ubuntu desktop. So that's what I have over here. I've set up, I use VMware, and I have a virtual machine running Ubuntu. And this is actually the smoothest way to communicate with your Ubuntu cloud server, because you're using the exact same operating system. So transferring files and whatnot is going to be more seamless. But Mac OS also works. So if you got a laptop, that works perfect. Okay. So you'll be using the terminal window to communicate with your server. So let's go over to DigitalOcean. So once you have, you click on New Project, set it up, and we are going to create a Droplet. So keep it on the first one here, Ubuntu 20.04. This is the latest version. Oh, they changed the prices. What is this? Okay. Oh, they've added some new options. So setting up a node, a node isn't CPU intensive. So it's mainly you want to have enough storage, and you want to have enough transfer. For this tutorial, just click this $20 option, and you need to pick a region. So wherever you want to pick, it doesn't really matter, somewhere in the world. We'll take New York, and skip down here. We're going to set up SSH keys. That's the first thing we're going to set up. So don't skip over that. We need to do it. So click on this new SSH key. Okay, so they actually have a little tutorial right here. So you can click copy right there. Go over to your terminal window, and you can click paste. Now this would, if we did this one without adding any parameters, it's going to give you a basic private public key pair, but it's always better to do a little bit better. So let's do -T RSA -B 4096. And so this is going to generate a super robust key pair that can't be broken. and it's going to ask you to put it somewhere on your computer. So just copy exactly what they do. This computer I called beer, so whatever your computer is called, just essentially copy pretty much what they have here. But you can change the last part, this RDSA. That's just the name that you give your SSH key. So you can make that anything you want. So type SSH. We'll extend this window. And then for this tutorial, let's call it, let's say coffee. And then give it a passphrase. Don't leave it empty. Your number one job as a stake node operator is security. So, okay, that worked. Don't be lazy. Any opportunity you have to have extra security, you want to implement it. And we can even, when you set up your DigitalOcean account, make sure you set up two-factor authentication. Set up Google Authenticator so no one can hack into your DigitalOcean account, because that's just as important as your actual server. If someone has access to your DigitalOcean account, then they're going to be able to probably figure out how to access your Cardano node. So make sure you keep your DigitalOcean account super secure. Okay, so we've generated this private key pair. The private key is going to be on this computer, that my computer, and so we don't have to do anything with the private key, but we need to upload the public key. So you can just copy paste this right here, go down here and type cat, and then just paste that. Okay, and now we need to copy paste this, so make sure you get it perfect, and then right to the end there, copy that. Come over here, hit paste, and then I usually give it the exact same name so I remember what my SSH key name is. Okay, perfect. So now we have made a key. We're just going to make one relay node for now. You don't need to make too many, just for this tutorial. Essentially, so we'll just call it relay 1. When you make your live server, you're going to have relay 1, relay 2, and production. The name is entirely up to you. It's whatever you want to call them. They're essentially the exact same. The production has a little bit different configurations, but for the actual installing of the software, you're installing the exact same software. On your live server, if you want, you can definitely enable backups, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to skip that. And we're going to create the droplet. So a droplet's just DigitalOcean's branding to, it's just like a Twitter calls a tweet. It's just a droplet is a virtual server. So it's creating our first droplet. Another reason why I like DigitalOcean, I've used them a lot in the past for programming. By default, your droplet, your server, the IP is static, which is necessary for a Cardano node. So as soon as it's done here, it's going to pop out an IP. So write down your IP because we're going to need it. Mine is 227.72.85. Now, when you're live, your relay node's IP is public knowledge. Okay, so it's everyone's going to be able to see them. They need everyone needs to access them. The other relay nodes need to talk to them. But the production IP is private. So make sure you don't, if I was to build 2 more, so that's why I can't show you like my live server. We have Learn and Solar. Solar is our test one, and Learn is our live one. So I can't go in here and show you Learn, because then you would obviously see our public IP, our private IP of our production server. Okay, your production server only talks to your relay servers, which then the relay servers talk to the other relay servers. Okay, so that's all we need for now in DigitalOcean. We got our IP, it's static. I can copy it, perfect. All right, So I can shrink down that window a little bit. Okay, come over here and we can type clear if you want to just clear that out. Okay, so to access our server, we do SSH-I. Okay, and I called our SSH key coffee, and then do root at, and then I copy pasted my IP. So I will put that in there. So SSH-I, little squiggly slash dot SSH slash coffee, whatever your SSH key name was, you can put it in there. Root, and then put in your IP. Is that our IP 165? Okay, it is. Okay. So hit enter, hit yes, and then it's going to prompt you for the password. Okay. And you have logged into your virtual server. All right. So there's a few things we need to do before you can actually start building a node. So first thing we're going to do is you need to add a user. So add user, and I generally will use the same name as my SSH key. That way I remember easily which key I used. Especially if you have many servers you're having to deal with, it's easier to do that. So just hit enter, 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 enter. You don't need to put in that information. If you want to clear the screen, just go ahead and just clear it out a bit. All right, so we've added coffee. Now coffee, because essentially you're going to use to log into your account, you're always going to log in with the coffee user. You're not going to log in with the root user every time. We're actually going to disable the root user. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, super user do, that's what sudo stands for. And GP password, GP, my bad typing, -A, put in the username and type sudo after it. And this is going to add your new user to the administration group. All right, add user coffee to group at sudo. Perfect. So now he's a super user do. All right, now so your root has its own folder system, and your each user has its own folders, and so your root has access to the public key because it's in its folders. It's in its SSH authorized keys folder. But so you need to create that folder for each user individually and give it permissions and whatnot. So that's what we have to do. So go ahead and we can print out. Essentially, this is your public key again. We're just going to print it out. Authorized keys. Okay. So again, copy that one, because we are going to need it. Okay, and now we're going to switch over to our other user. So switch user coffee. All right, now I'm logged in as coffee. We need to make a directory, -p squiggly.ssh. So we're going to make our own .ssh folder. Okay. Done. And then we need to make our own authorized keys file. Okay, so sudo touch. I just always type sudo. I might not need to do that, but it's just a habit, because if you don't type it and then you need it, it's just going to tell you that you needed it. So it's just easier to just always type it. Okay, sudo touch authorized keys. Okay, now it's asking for our password. Done. Okay, so we've made the folder. We've made a file. It's a blank file. So now we have to go and edit that blank file. Authorized keys. All right, now we copy paste, because I've already copied that public key from authorized keys. So then Control X or Command X on if you're using Mac OS. And at the bottom there, you see it says save modified buffer. Hit the Y and then just hit enter. Okay, so you've copied the public key to your own authorized key file. So, but Ubuntu is not going to like that yet. It wants you to secure that file, make sure no one else can authorize it. So we need to change the permissions. So sudo 700 squiggly. Where are we at? Okay, my bad. SSH. So we sudo chmod. Mod is modify the permissions 700. And I forgot my squiggly. Okay. Little squiggly. All right, there we go. And now we're going to do the same thing, but for the file, and we're going to change it to 600. SSH authorized keys. And the last thing we're going to do, we're actually going to change ownership, make sure we have ownership of that file, actually that whole directory. So we'll do a recursive R, so dash big R for recursive, and we'll do the whole directory. And whoops, what did I do? Oh, I always do that. Okay, so you need to actually tell it who is going to get permissions. So who's going to own it. So type your user colon and your username again. It's actually he belongs to my coffee user belongs to the coffee group. So you just do it that way. So do it whatever user you choose. Do user colon username colon username. All right. So this time it should work. Yep, it does. Okay. So we're almost done. I like to now quickly, before I go any further, leave this window open. Go ahead and open up another terminal window. Try logging in with your coffee, your new user. Okay, so coffee was the and my IP 165.227.72.85. So before, right here, we used to have the root user. Now I'm trying to see if my new coffee user can log in to our server. We logged in. So before we disable the root user, you want to make sure your new user that you've created actually can log in. Okay, so we'll leave that window open for now. Okay, so now we're going to go and disable the root login, and we're going to change the default port of SSH. Okay, its default is port 22. We're going to change it to something else. So go sudo nano etc sshd underscore config. Okay, takes us into this folder. Okay, so we're going to go down, just scroll down, and we're going to delete that number sign, and we're going to change this. So you can change it to whatever you want. I usually keep it something 22, so like we'll say like 2288. Okay, and make sure you write that down, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to log into your server. And then come down to permit root login and change it to no. Okay, and then again Control X and hit yes and hit enter. And now the last thing you need to do, make sure you do this last step, is sudo system control restart sshd. Okay, and now don't do anything yet. You want to come back to the other window, and we want to double check that we can log in. So add a -p2288 to the end of that file, that line, and just make sure that you still have access to your server. We don't want to lock ourselves out. Yes, we do. We have access. And I'm going to hit exit one more time and hit clear. Go ahead and try that again, but change it to the root. Just double check. Make sure now we want this to not to work. We want to make sure that root cannot log in. And interesting. It won't let us in, but it wasn't the error message I was expecting. Usually it just says denied. Okay, well, it wasn't the error message I was expecting, but whatever. So yeah, root can't log in now. So that's it. Those are the basics. Next video, if you go over to the Coin Cashew, how to build a Cardano stake pool. I'm going to take you through that in the next video, step by step. There's a few spots where you might get stuck, so I'm going to make sure to go through every little detail, so you won't get stuck. But they do have some really good stuff on here, like how to harden your Ubuntu server. So changing the port is just basic, hardening the server. It really doesn't do too much. It just stops maybe some scripts from accessing port 22, or trying to access port 22. In future videos, I'll take you through this tutorial also. Setting up firewall, setting up fail to ban, and changing a few other things that definitely are necessary to keep your server protected. And next video I'll take you how to start building the stake pool. It's a lot of fun, so make sure you come back. If you're not already staking, you can check out our pool. It's called Learn. All right, well, thanks to everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.